On February 18, 2025, a Philippine aircraft entered the airspace of China's Yindao in the South China Sea, triggering a swift response from the 7th Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army of China. Chinese military stated the aircraft intruded, erratically and dangerously altering altitudes to fly close to the Chinese patrol helicopter. Such air intrusions appeared in groups in August last year. They've become more frequent since November last year, but the Philippines signed the Philippine Maritime Zones Act into law, putting China's Yindao and most of the islands and reefs of China's Nansha Qundao and the relevant waters into the Philippines' maritime zones. The Chinese government says the Philippine air intrusion seriously infringes on China's sovereignty and seriously violates international law and relevant provisions of Chinese laws. Beijing also demands that the Philippines immediately cease all acts of infringements and provocations.
The Philippines seeks to justify its illegal claims and actions in the South China Sea by approving the so-called Maritime Zones Act in the name of implementing UNCLOS. This is illegal, null and void.
The Chinese government issued a statement immediately after this and declared the baselines of the territorial sea adjacent to Yindao. The baselines were delineated and published in accordance with the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea and other international laws, as well as the Law of the People's Republic of China on the territorial sea and a contiguous zone.
With the baselines of the territorial sea in place, China's maritime police enforcement and control have become very strict. No one can approach within 6 nautical miles. Otherwise, they will be driven away. So, it can't do much at sea. Air intrusion is a new form of infringement. I think the Philippine side, despite the costs, is trying to figure out how China will counter and whether this will continuously work. But I think it is unsustainable.
Experts on the issue said the Philippines' recent moves show the mentality of the current government of the Philippines is speculation or gambling.
It has two misjudgments. It believed that the competition between China and the U.S. presented it with an opportunity, and the U.S. would completely support him. And it thought that China is dealing with many issues, and no matter how the Philippines provoked, China would not respond accordingly.
China clearly shows its sovereignty stance over Yindao, not only in waters, but also in airspace.
The Chinese government has sovereignty over the airspace above Yindao. In normal circumstances, if the Philippines gets into the airspace above Yindao, they will need to apply for approval.
It's also believed that the Philippines' recent moves in the South China Sea reflect the current government faces pressure in the elections this year and afterwards, and is trying to win support through this way. Experts warn against this.
If the Philippines continues to provoke, I think the possibility of an accident occurring over the Yindao is increasing. However, the biggest problem for the Philippines is that they simply haven't considered other factors and haven't realized the consequences.
In the meantime, the China Coast Guard says it will coordinate with the air response to form a sea-air collaborative system, safeguarding China's territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests in the South China Sea.